Welcome to another episode of FedBiz 5, the podcast where we break down government contracting in a practical, easy-to-use way. I'm Sam Fields. Today, we're talking about a strategy that can make a huge difference for small businesses that want to win more government contracts, without trying to do everything alone from day one. And that strategy is this: teaming with prime contractors. If you're a small business owner in the government marketplace, you've probably heard people say that subcontracting is a good way to get your foot in the door. And that's true. But I want to take that idea a step further today, because teaming with prime contractors is not just a foot-in-the-door tactic. When done the right way, it can become one of the smartest and highest leverage growth strategies in your business. Why? Because prime contractors already have something that many small businesses are still trying to build. They already have contract vehicles. They already have relationships with agency buyers. They already have past performance. They already know how to navigate proposal requirements, contract administration, reporting, and delivery expectations. So instead of looking at primes as companies that are out of reach or too big to approach, small businesses should start looking at them as potential channels to growth. Now, that does not mean every prime will be a fit. It does not mean you should start emailing every large contractor you can find. And it definitely does not mean teaming is just about sending over a capability statement and hoping someone calls you back. A real prime contractor teaming strategy is more targeted than that, more intentional than that. And when you build it the right way, it can help you create relationships, build relevant past performance, generate recurring subcontracting work, and put yourself in a much stronger position for future direct awards. So in this episode, I want to walk through a practical outreach and targeting framework for small businesses that want to team smarter with primes. We're going to cover why this strategy matters, how to identify the right prime contractors to pursue, how to use tools like spend data, vendor portals, and AI-powered platforms like FedBiz 365, what primes are actually looking for in teaming partners, the main teaming vehicles you should understand, and the biggest mistakes to avoid. Let's start with the big picture. Why teaming with prime contractors is such a powerful strategy. For a lot of small businesses, the biggest challenge in government contracting is not capability, it is access. You may have the right services, you may have the right team, you may have the right certifications, but if you do not yet have the direct past performance, the agency exposure, or the contract vehicle access to get in front of buyers consistently, it can feel like you're always trying to force your way through a locked door. Teaming can change that. When you work under a prime contractor, you are plugging into an existing contract environment. You are stepping into work that has already been won, already been scoped, and already been funded. That can help you build experience faster, especially if you are trying to establish credibility in a certain agency, technical area, or socioeconomic lane. It is also important because many large prime contractors have real incentives to partner with small businesses. On certain federal contracts, large businesses are required to maintain subcontracting plans with goals for small business participation. That means they are not just casually open to working with small firms in some cases. They may actively need qualified small business teammates who can perform and help them meet those goals. And this is where small businesses need to shift their mindset. A lot of companies think government contracting growth means going straight after prime awards only. But in reality, many very successful contractors built momentum first by supporting prime contractors, proving themselves in delivery, becoming known in a niche, and then using that experience to pursue larger and more direct opportunities later. So if you are a small business trying to break in or trying to scale, teaming is not a side path. It can be a main path. Why random outreach does not work. Now let's talk about what does not work. Random outreach. This is one of the biggest mistakes small businesses make. They decide they want to team with primes, so they pull together a list of large contractors, attach a generic capability statement, send the same email to everyone, and wait. That is not a strategy. That is just activity.
Prime contractors are busy. Their capture teams are busy. Their business development teams are busy. Their small business liaison contacts are busy. They are getting approached all the time. If your outreach looks generic, broad, or disconnected from the actual work they do, it is easy to ignore. The better approach is to make your outreach evidence-based. In other words, before you ever contact a prime contractor, you should know why that prime is worth targeting. You should know what agencies they support. You should know whether they win work in your NAICS codes or service area. You should know whether their contracts create a likely need for the type of support you provide. That is where spend data and targeted research come in. How to identify the right prime contractors. The smartest way to build a teaming list is not by starting with company names. It is by starting with market activity. Who is already winning in your space? Who is already getting funded for the kinds of services you provide? Who is already performing with the agencies you want to work with? That is where usaspending.gov becomes so useful. USA Spending lets you see where federal contract dollars are going. You can search recipients, agencies, award types, contract data, and more. That means you can start identifying prime contractors that consistently win in your lane. For example, let's say your business provides facilities support, cybersecurity services, logistics, staffing support, engineering support, or construction-related services. Instead of approaching dozens of large contractors blindly, you can use spending data to figure out which ones are already winning those categories of work with the agencies you care about most. That immediately improves your targeting. Now you are not just contacting a prime because you recognize the name. You are contacting them because the data says they are active in your space. This also helps you prioritize. Maybe one prime does a lot of business with the Department of Homeland Security. Maybe another is heavily concentrated with the Department of Defense. Maybe another wins a lot of GSA-based task orders. Maybe one is active in your region. Maybe one keeps winning work that clearly requires subcontracting depth in your specialty. That is valuable information. And from there, you can layer in sam.gov. sam.gov is important not just for finding federal opportunities, but also for understanding the opportunity environment around those targets. You can look at current opportunities, interested vendors, agency notices, and solicitation context that may help you identify where teaming makes sense. Then you can go even deeper by using agency-specific outreach channels and vendor resources. GSA has subcontracting resources. SBA has a directory of prime contractors with subcontracting plans. Many agencies have offices of small and disadvantaged business utilization, outreach events, or vendor engagement programs. And some primes also maintain supplier portals or subcontractor registration systems on their own websites. That matters because the path to getting noticed is often not just find an email and send a message. Sometimes it is getting into the right vendor portal. Sometimes it is attending the right outreach event. Sometimes it is connecting through the right small business liaison office. Sometimes it is being visible in the right ecosystem before the next proposal or task order gets moving. Where AI-powered tools fit in. Now, all of that research can take time, a lot of time, and that is one reason so many small businesses either skip the research entirely or do it inconsistently. They are trying to run the business, serve customers, manage delivery, handle compliance, and somehow still find time to analyze spending patterns, identify primes, organize outreach, and track opportunities. That is where AI-powered tools like FedBiz 365 can become extremely valuable. The point is not that AI magically wins contracts for you. It does not. The point is that it helps you work more efficiently and more intelligently. A platform like FedBiz 365 can help streamline opportunity matching, support prime identification, surface relevant contract activity faster, and help you focus your efforts where they are most likely to matter. Instead of spending hours manually sorting through data, you can get to the signals faster.
Which agencies are buying what you sell? Which opportunities align with your capability profile? Which primes appear to be active in your space? Which contracts or pursuits may create potential teaming paths? Which targets are worth outreach now? And which ones are just noise? That kind of speed matters, especially for small businesses that do not have a full-time research team. And frankly, this is one of the biggest differences between smart business development and exhausting business development. Smart business development filters. It narrows the field. It helps you spend your time where there is actual potential. What primes are really looking for in a teaming partner? So let's say you've done the research. You have identified several prime contractors that look like strong targets. Now what? Now you have to think like the prime. This is critical.
A lot of small businesses approach teaming from their own perspective only. They focus on what they want. They want a contract. They want exposure. They want past performance. They want the relationship. But the prime is asking a different question. The prime is asking, how does this company help me win and deliver with less risk? That is the real filter. Primes are looking for partners that make them stronger, not more complicated. That means they tend to value a few things very highly. First, relevance. Do you actually support the work they win? Are you in the right NAICS area, technical area, trade area, or functional lane? Second, clarity. Can you explain what you do in a focused, useful way? Or do you sound like you are trying to be everything to everyone? Third, credibility. Do you have relevant experience, adjacent experience, certifications, licenses, registrations, or team strength that suggests you can perform? Fourth, responsiveness. Are you easy to work with? Do you communicate well? Do you answer questions clearly and quickly? Fifth, readiness. Are your registrations clean? Is your business information current? Is your capability statement polished? Do you understand the environment you're trying to enter? And sixth, fit. Do you fill a real gap for them? Geography, labor categories, niche expertise, certifications, surge support, specialized compliance, installation support, subcontracting credit, customer familiarity, socioeconomic positioning? Something has to make your firm make sense to them. This is why generic marketing does not work very well with primes. If your message says, "We'd love to partner with you on any opportunities that may come up," that is weak. A stronger message is something like this. We support federal facilities operations and building maintenance in the Southeast, and we noticed your company has recurring award activity with agencies and programs where that support appears relevant. We'd welcome the opportunity to explore subcontracting support where our team could strengthen your delivery capacity. That sounds more intentional, more informed, more useful. Practical steps for approaching primes. So what should a small business actually do? Here is a very practical outreach framework. Step 1. Build a focused target list. Not 50 primes. Not 100. Start with a manageable list of the most relevant prime contractors based on spend data, agency alignment, and service fit. Step 2. Research each target. Look at what they win, where they work, what agencies they serve, what contract vehicles they use, and whether they appear to have likely subcontracting needs in your area. Step 3. Identify the correct point of entry. This may be a supplier portal, a small business office, a teaming contact, a business development contact, or an outreach event. It is not always the same for every company. Step 4. Tighten your positioning. Your capability statement should be clean, relevant, and easy to understand. Your elevator pitch should explain exactly where you fit. Your differentiators should be specific. Step 5. Personalize your outreach. Show that you know something about the prime's work. Show that you understand where you may fit. Show that this is not a copy and paste email. Step 6. Follow up professionally. Do not disappear after one email, but also do not become spammy. Follow up with purpose, maybe with additional relevance, an updated capability statement, a specific contract reference, or a note after an outreach session or event. Step 7. Stay visible. Many teaming relationships do not happen overnight. You may not get an immediate response. You may not be needed on the current pursuit. But if you stay visible, stay relevant, and continue showing capability, your odds improve over time. Understanding the current teaming vehicles. Now, let's briefly talk about the main teaming structures small businesses should understand. The first is subcontracting. This is the most straightforward path. The prime wins the contract, and your business performs a portion of the work. This can be an excellent way to gain direct contract experience, build agency familiarity, and establish a past performance story that supports bigger growth later. The second is a joint venture. A joint venture is when two or more businesses come together for a specific opportunity. This can be a powerful strategy, especially when the companies bring complementary capabilities or one side brings capacity and the other brings access, experience, or socioeconomic eligibility. The third is the SBA Mentor-Protégé program. This is especially important for small businesses that want structured support while growing. Under the SBA Mentor-Protégé framework, an eligible small business can receive developmental assistance from a more experienced mentor. In some cases, that relationship can also support a mentor-protégé joint venture, allowing the firms to pursue certain small business opportunities together, assuming they meet the applicable rules.
Now, it is important to say this clearly. These vehicles can be very powerful, but they also come with rules. You do not want to casually form a joint venture without understanding the compliance side. You do not want to assume a mentor-protege arrangement is just a handshake. These structures need to be set up correctly, and the regulatory side should always be reviewed carefully before moving forward. So, for the purpose of this episode, the key takeaway is simple. Know your options, but treat them seriously. Common mistakes small businesses make. Let's close out the strategy piece with some of the most common mistakes I see in prime teaming outreach. Mistake number 1, chasing logos instead of fit. Just because a company is a major prime does not mean they are the right target for you. Mistake number 2, skipping the research. If you do not know what the prime wins, who they serve, or how your business fits, your outreach will feel shallow. Mistake number 3, leading with broad, generic messaging. Primes do not need another vague capability statement. They need a reason to care. Mistake number 4, overlooking vendor portals and official entry points. A lot of businesses want a shortcut, but many primes have an established process for new subcontractors and suppliers. Mistake number 5, assuming certification alone will carry the conversation. Certifications help. They can absolutely strengthen your value, but they do not replace relevance, readiness, or performance capability. Mistake number 6, having poor internal readiness. If your registrations are outdated, your messaging is weak, your capability statement is sloppy, or your website does not support your story, primes will notice that too. Mistake number 7, giving up too quickly. Teaming relationships often take time. You may need several touchpoints before the timing lines up. The bottom line. So here is the big takeaway from today's episode. If you are a small business and you want to win more government contracts, teaming with prime contractors should not be treated like a random side tactic. It should be treated like a real growth strategy. Use usaspending.gov to understand who is winning in your space. Use sam.gov to stay close to the opportunity environment. Use SBA directories, GSA subcontracting resources, agency outreach channels, and vendor portals to identify the right access points. And use AI-powered tools like FedBiz 365 to speed up your research, sharpen your targeting, and help you focus your outreach where the real opportunity is. Because the goal is not just to contact more primes. The goal is to contact the right primes with the right message at the right time. That is how you stop wasting effort. That is how you get on the radar. And that is how you start building the kinds of relationships that can open the door to real contract growth. Thanks for listening to FedBiz 5. Until next time, stay helpful, stay credible, and keep winning in government contracting.